Yeah, it is. We are streaming live. Got it. Hi, everybody. Hold on 2 seconds. Hold on. Where are you, Mel? I've got so many tabs open. Hello, Melissa.
Hello,
hi, everybody.
Nicholas.
What's on at the Elephant and Castle community. Oh, you call me Nicholas.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's weird.
You.
Why?
Well, this is my full name. Actually, my full name is Nicholas Charles of Bringhurst Rothwell, so you can try that.
Wait, Bringhurst? Nicholas Charles Bringhurst?
Yeah.
Is it Rothwell the second or just Rothwell?
I think I should be Rothwell the third with that kind of name.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi,
Thank
everybody.
you for this live.
Thanks everybody. We'll just know my name and that's it. Joining me today is Melissa, my business partner. We thought we would come on just the beginning of December. It's I don't want to say it's the same old story. And Mel, I know you don't want to kind of rehash everything that everybody's been through over the last couple of years, because it seems like we're trudging these same waters all of the time. But the holiday period is upon us. And I think that recognizing certain things about whatever's going on in the world of COVID and work and personal and professional lives and stuff, we just have to kind of hold some space to acknowledge that, you know, the holidays are here, and it can be difficult for some people, can't it? But also it can be an amazing time of year. I am a huge lover of the holidays because it brings back really good memories of my family.
That's nice.
Sorry. So let's we'll get into that subject, but people haven't really seen you in a little while. So just kind of in general, how have you been? How's London?
Yeah, it's lovely. I've been well. I mean, that's not true. I haven't been well, actually. I've been quite sick for a long, long time. And I think I'm waking up from the fog, or is that right? I've been waking up from a sleep. The fog is clearing a bit. So I feel like I have some sort of footing on myself and the world around me, but I've not been well, but I am in recovery. I'm recovering, I'm healing, I'm remembering, I'm figuring it out. Yes.
I want to go into a little bit of a tangent because of what you talked about. I was listening to one of our one of the people who you put me in touch with, which is Paul Chek. And I was actually listening to his solo podcast this morning, and he was talking about, the actual work that it needs to take in terms of people transforming, evolving, and that there are definitely points of discomfort in the healing processes that we all go through. I think basically he was saying in a nutshell, you can't just go and do some kind of 1 day or 1 weekend retreat somewhere and think that all of that inner work is going to be done. It's something that is a continual process. So I imagine in terms of your journey, has this been just another transformational healing process for you?
Yeah. Like I think I died 1,000 times on like spirit level, ego level, almost human level. So yes, I think, you've heard me say this a lot, but the only way out is through, right? And it's easy to say when we're kind of outside looking at the through, or we've out through the other side, but when we're in it, and it feels like scary and overwhelming. And it is curious when you're in it, what do you tap into when you're in the thick of it? Like, who do you call upon? What are your resources? Because part of me, which was the scariest for me, and like you've kind of witnessed me through it, but it's like, I didn't know like everything that helped me in the past, like meditation or breathing or whatever my spiritual practices were, meant nothing to me. Like nothing. I was blank. I was on a blank canvas, which is kind of beautiful and freeing because I get to create this whole new way of being, which is lovely. But when you're in it, it's terrifying, and you feel like you're just free falling, right? And you're never going to land. And that was the scariest part for me, is like not remembering like that I knew stuff, because I know stuff. I know who I am on some level, but I had to kind of, that part of me had to die a little bit. So a lot of it. So I think it's a curious thing of any kind of process of transformation. You don't just wake up, there's no magic pill. I'm like, okay, cool, I did it. It's like the dark night of the soul. Okay, I'm back. It's like, the integration is as much of the healing as the thing that gets you needing to be healed, if that makes any sense. So we talk about a thing that happens to us, but then how do we integrate our new learnings, our practices, our new way of being in daily life, in daily practices? Because it's one thing, which I've done, to go on a mountain and meditate for months, because like you don't want to interact. But, and you probably feel this too, it's like the truth of it is, how do we be in service in this world, of this world, right? And still deal with the things, the hardships of being human at the same time. So it's not just, for me anyway, it's not like, let me just leave, which I wanted to do. Like, I'm out, I can't do this anymore. But it's like, wait a second, I know this now. So how do I bring this and know that I'm still healing? I'm still learning. There's still so much for me to know, to remember, to forget, all these things. But how do I integrate that? And how do I have patience and trust in that, which I haven't figured out. The patience I'm getting to, the acceptance, I'm like dancing around the edges on of acceptance right now. But it's like, I think there's like this surrendering piece that has to come. And I'm not quite there yet, but I'm kind of there, but I'm not quite there. So all that to say, Nick, which I think you didn't ask, is like, it is so much about the process, about the dance. It's not really like an end result. It's like, oh, me doing this means I'm good, nothing's going to happen. It's more about the in-between. We're alive in the in-between moments. Like, that's where the magic is. It's in the bounce. That's where the healing is, right? The healing's in the bounce back. So same stuff is going to happen, but it's like, how long? Maybe it would have taken me a few years ago, 8 months, to kind of be kind to myself. And now it takes me 3 hours. That's healing, right? It's in the bounce back. It's in the spaces in between. So yes, the only way out is through, and it's really hard when you're in the through part of it.
Yeah, because when you're out, there's another through to go through.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And
I'm wondering,
easier.
like,
It does get easier though. That's the thing. It gets even for a second, at least even the awareness of knowing, oh, here we go again. That in itself is transformation, right? That kind of like, this is gonna suck, but here we go. Like, that kind of acceptance is part of the whole process of healing, of awareness, of transformation. Sorry, go on. I cut you off.
No, I'm for somebody who's listening to this, they hear the word healing.
Mm.
And I imagine for some people, they're going, well, you have to be wounded, like broken arm, cut yourself when you were cooking, you have it's an open wound. Healing, for you, the way you use it, is something that's continued. So that is implying then that as people here, we have a duty to heal from something that we don't know. So someone on the outside might be going, hey, do you know what? It's coming into Christmas and I am great. All of this stuff is going on, but I am great. Kind of the ego-led thing of, I've got money in the account, or I can do this, or I can do that. How do people come to the terms of recognizing that healing is kind of just a process of growing?
They have to do it on their own. Like, there's nothing you can't like force somebody to feel it. And to feel it, if healing is not the word for them, then that's not the word for them. It's the word for me because of my experiences, but it's not the word for that person. That's fine. It doesn't have to be that word. But what you're speaking of is the idea of like, in general though, I'm great. Let's say like, I'm okay. I'm solid. I have some things. I have a tree that's blurred. I have my plants. I have my dog. I have my partner. I have all these things that are beautiful. I'm good. I'm also human. And with human just comes, as from like, let's use the Buddhist here, suffering. And it doesn't have to be capital S suffering, but it has to be, I mean, we all know we've all been kind of the last 2 years in a state of uncertainty, of not in control, of anxiety, of like complete trauma responses, my language, to the state of the world. So it does, like, we all know what kind of unpleasant feelings are, what suffering is. So from that place, that invites in some sort of healing or peace or some sort of shift or viewpoint. So if people are not comfortable with the word healing for themselves, go for it. Don't be comfortable with that. But let's find another word so that when your unpleasant feelings come present, when that like, oh my gosh, I can't travel to see my family this Christmas, that's not a good feeling, that's not pleasant feeling, then what practices do I get to the point where I can accept the feelings? So for me, I call it healing just because of my own practices, but it doesn't have to work for everybody that way. It can be growth, it can be learning, it can be anything really.
Yeah, I think that first of all, though, before those words has come some kind of acknowledgement. And I think
Sure.
that you did say it, like we're coming into the holidays, and yeah, some people once again are not going to be allowed to travel, see their families. They're going to
Yeah.
be restricted, and there could be a tendency to feel a lot of self-pity around that. So that's when you're like, oh, do you know what? The world is against me, and this is really bad, and I'm going to go into a shell, and I'm going to use substances, or I'm going to do something to hurt myself in some way or hurt others because the systems are all against me. So really, in some kind of acknowledgement that we're all going through this once again, kind of softens it a little bit. But I guess it is just a question of the acknowledgement and the awareness to know that through the next 30 days, there are going to be some discomforts for people.
Yeah, things are going to come up, right? Things are going to present themselves. And I guess that's always the invitation is things will continue to present themselves, but how do you choose to meet it? Like the things that come up, can you go in a shell and blame everybody else for the feelings you're feeling, or do you meet it? Like this has been my practice the last, I would say, month, is like, how can I meet every unpleasant feeling possible with as much love as possible? And maybe love's not the right word to use, but for other people, but for me, it's like, how does this thing come up, and how do I meet it with love? Right. So that is the thing. That's kind of like the idea of what, at least for me, what my practice has kind of been, because again, like I'm not able to go home, which I like had my ticket booked. I like had all these things happening, and it was like, nope, you can't go home. So that sucks. And I did kind of spiral for a second where I was like, okay, this is like unjust. All right. But it's like, this is an unpleasant, like, this is a hard, feels unfair situation to be in, because I promised my nephew, I promised my niece I'd be back, like all these things. It's like unfair. And okay, it's unfair. Sure. Period. But how do I meet that unfairness with as much, I'm going to just say love, because that's the only word that feels right for me this time. It used to be peace. It used to be compassion. Right now it's love, with as much love as possible. So this is the kind of, let's say, thing is, things will come up. They'll come up for everyone. And anyone who's saying it doesn't, it is not on that level of kind of, because we all know what it's like to feel, oh, you know, icky or sticky or or not full, not fun. So it's like, can you meet this thing with love? And what that maybe means too is like, what are the, I'm going to leave it there for now. So yeah, can you meet these things with as much love as possible in ways you couldn't before? So that's been my kind of thing of like, I did spiral and I was like, this is not fair. Like, this is actually not fair. And okay, this is where I'm at. I don't have a lot of control here. So how do I show up for this experience in a way where I can find a little peace and a little bit of more understanding about maybe the whys behind it?
So you are a person who I know who has a lot of tools to be able to have some kind of strategies and mechanisms to deal with, the stuff that not being able to go back to Canada for Christmas has enabled you to meet this with, as you say, love. And I do love the word love too. But how would you suggest to someone who maybe is just kind of starting out in this kind of space of awareness of knowing that, yes, there are going to be some choppy waters ahead. What are some of your tips that you would give to people to kind of help them navigate the choppy waters that we all know come, especially through holiday times?
Well, I think the first thing that you just said is like to be aware of it, like to let yourself actually feel it as much as you feel safe to feel it. And that's kind of layered, but as much as you can feel it, let yourself know that you feel the feelings and let yourself feel them. And then I think part of that is to not maybe even need an answer right now. Like, I think so much of us, or there's so much pressure that we have to know, we have to have an answer, we have to know the next step, we have to do all the things. And like, maybe part of people's experiences or where they're at right now is maybe you don't need an answer. Maybe you don't need to know anything right now other than how you feel, right? Because I think that's a really big ask, is how do you feel? And to be honest, like I just did in the beginning, you're saying, how are you? And it's like, yeah, I'm well. And the truth is, I am well today. But an hour ago, in this moment when we started, an hour ago I wasn't well. Like a week ago I wasn't well. So it's like we have this kind of program to say, yeah, I'm okay. But to really let yourself sit in the complexity of what it's like to be a human being in this time after the 2 years that we've gone through, like to really let yourself say, actually, I'm scared, or I have weird anxiety around things I used to not have anxiety for. Like, I don't want to go home because I really liked having the pandemic as a reason for me not to socialize with people in my family who were like not okay for me. Or actually, I really need to see my family because I've been isolated. So it's to let yourself fully feel it. And then again, see those feelings that come up. How do you meet them with as much tenderness as you would somebody you care the most about, right? Because I think what can happen too is there's so much shoulding. Oh, shouldn't feel like this, or you should feel like this, or you should do this, or you should do that. If you're sad, go for a walk. If you're this, go for. There's all this like action steps. And perhaps maybe for some folks, there's not, the rest is the action, right? Like resting and quiet time. Like quiet time seems so juvenile, but like being in quiet, being in stillness, maybe that's the act that we need, is just to be with our feelings, is an act. To just be fully present with whatever is present is the act that's needed sometimes. I don't think I answered your question, but so what was
We're
your
getting there.
question?
We're getting
Sorry.
there.
Yeah, what was your
We're
question?
we're we're, we're getting there. So, you did.
Oh,
We're kind of what I'm trying to do is trying to let people know that some kind of acknowledgement around
oh, right.
their feelings is a first step in
Yeah.
in ways to be able to deal with it. And then as you spoke, what I was thinking too is that how important it is to be able to have someone that you can be honest with and say,
Of course.
hey,
Yeah.
Melissa, I'm really off of it today. I'm not feeling very well. And I think that is such a huge step. But because we are probably going to be around smaller groups of people again over the holiday times, I think it's really important for people to recognize that if someone is being courageous enough to show their vulnerability and saying how they're feeling, sometimes it's good just to listen,
Yeah.
you know? And that's part of that person's healing, is that number one, they're courageous enough to express that they're not in a great space. And I think for me, what I'm learning is honoring that, is just going, oh, I'm sorry you feel like that. Rather than saying, have you done this? You should do, like you talked about the
Yeah.
shoulding. And that's made me think that there is like the relationships are going to be very important over the holiday time. Is that yes, be able to express yourself is amazing, but also to be able to accept someone's vulnerability is a lot of work too.
This is a
In being
key,
able to,
right?
yeah, I'll just listen here, or maybe I actually do have some practical advice for them. And I have found that probably is best to be brought out later in the conversation, and let's to hold that space for that person to be able to just kind of say, whew, this is how I'm feeling today,
Sometimes all we need
and
is
do
to
a lot
say
of
things
nodding.
out loud, right? Like that's it. Like,
Yeah.
and this is where it becomes like the listening is such an important skill, because it doesn't become about us. Like, sometimes people listen often to respond or give advice. Like if your advice wasn't asked for, then don't give it, right? Because the person doesn't need it or want it, at least in that moment. But what they do want is to say the things out loud, because when it's quiet in our mind, we can make it a lot more intense and dramatic and scary than when we say it out loud and somebody nods and it's like, oh yeah, I know that. Like, what? The whole thing shifts, because what we do need is, I think on a deep level, is to be seen, right? To be really fully like, yep, that sucks. And I don't have an answer for you. And sometimes somebody saying, I don't have an answer for you, but I'll hold your hand and I'll sit with you and I'll breathe with you through this pain, is in itself what we're all looking for, is to not have these experiences alone. Like we don't actually have to do this alone, you know? And I think that's such a beautiful thing to know. And it's really hard to practice, is to say the things out loud and to have somebody say, don't have an answer for you, but yep, I know what it's like to feel alone. I know what it's like to think your tears are not going to stop, or to feel like you've done something wrong or you're being judged. Yep. So I think that's listening is as important as speaking out loud. And I think, you know, that's when we talk about healing, at least in the context or the way I'm using it, is that in this stage of my life, my healing is not about me anymore. You know, it is because I am I doing it, but it's also because I am doing it because when I can heal myself, the way I'm able to show up for other people is for them and not for me. It's not my ego. It's not my job. It's because here we go. So let me hold that space for you so that you get to show up for yourself in whatever ways you need. So we're not doing it individually. It is this whole like actual symbiotic, transactional, energetically transactional relationship. That's like, I'm doing this for you, and your healing affects me, and mine is for you. We are in service of each other. So when you do it from that way, it just breaks all the molds of, is there a right way to be? Is there a right way of healing? How does it look like? Nothing. It's whatever it has to be for you individually. And you multiply that by as many millions. How many people are in the world? Billions people in the world, like
almost 8 billion.
yeah, like it does change the way we listen, the way we show up for ourselves and for people. So listening is important. It's a skill, isn't it?
And I think it is, and from that skill comes even a bigger skill, I think, and that's that skill of how easy it is for us to carry judgment. And I know that is something that over this next month, I'm really going to work on. Is this thing of, you know, I'm in a new city right now, a new country, doing a little bit of exploring, and it's really easy for me to walk down the street and look at the way people are dressed and think, oh, look at those shoes, they're silly, or look at those hats or those colors. And then I have to sit there and go, why am I not looking up at the architecture? Like Prague is one of the most beautiful cities on the planet. And I found myself this morning just looking at the way some people were dressed and judging it and going, oh, that's not how they dress in London. And as if I'm like kind of some fashion expertise or something like that, some fashion mogul. And I walked around going, okay, I'm going to consciously try to look at things differently and just look at a person instead of you know, whatever me judging about their fashion. Yeah. And I did it for a block, you know, and I was like, oh, that's very freeing. Wouldn't it be great to go through it for another hour without judgment, and then 2 hours, and then 24 hours, and kind of this thing. But for me to judge somebody, that means that there's something in me that I'm judging, you know. And I know you say this, we're all mirrors and reflectors of each other. So I think that that is something, again, in terms of our awareness or acceptance, is that if we find our space itself in spaces of judgment, then that could also be a time to take a step back and say, hey, hold on a second, what's going on here? Am I judging them, or is there something inside of me that I'm not happy with? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I think so. I think that, you know, when things come up for us in our experience or interactions with other people that are unpleasant, it's because, I would say, it could be because there's a reflection of a part of ourselves that we haven't loved yet, that needs a practice. Is like, what parts of you are responding to that is where you need to show up with a bit more tenderness, and like, not maybe tenderness and love is too much, maybe just curiosity. Like, can you just be curious? Like, oh, I wonder why I'm judging that person. You know, like, I wonder what about their presentation in the world that I've encountered is creating these things in me. And it could be, for me, I know when that comes up, I'm like, oh, because they're free. because I really wanted to wear that kind of outfit, and I like stopped myself from doing it. So the annoyance that comes up in me is not has anything to do with them. It's me like realizing that I've silenced myself or my expression of myself in a day. Because really, if we're just all expressing ourselves by our clothes or our language or our hair color or whatever, any annoyance that comes up in somebody's presentation of themselves could be a part of ourselves that where we maybe didn't have that ability to express ourselves in the way we wanted to. I mean, that's a kind of general statement, but if we really look at it, it's like, be curious about what's coming up for you, right? You don't, again, like I feel you don't have to have an answer. You don't have to have an answer. Just can you invite in curiosity, like, oh, I wonder why I did that. Like, that's weird. And then let yourself really sit with it. Maybe journal about it, maybe meditate, or just walk with that curiosity. And like, if we do see each other, if we have an experiment for 1 hour, every person we interact with as like, they're teaching me something, and just having that question, like, what did that person teach me, just for 1 hour, then that opens up a whole way different conversation and way you can engage with yourself, right, and the world around you. And maybe it's like just to smile, or maybe it's like to mind your own business, like mind your own business or smile, or everyone's walking around and trying to figure it out. Nobody's actually really, really different in terms of like the feelings that we feel and experience. So maybe just to offer that curiosity around what comes up for you and what comes up for you. That's weird. Okay. And carry on.
Oh, yeah. And and it brings me into emotions now too, is that is fear an emotion? Fear is an emotion, isn't it?
I mean,
you say fear, or is fear something that's present that brings about the emotion of being scared?
Yeah, it's more like maybe it's anger, right? And then like maybe anger is the emotion, but as the result of fear, as a response from fear. But
yeah. So when fear, and I've learned now over my time of dealing with fears, is that fear for a few years was something that I needed to have to be removed, so that I was no longer acting in selfish ways. But now I know that there are certain emotions or certain feelings that can come up. Fear is normally kind of a core one, especially around the holidays, or like fear of not having enough money to get presents for people, or to pay for my food, or to pay for heating, or pay rent. So I think that the fear of financial insecurity is one that is constantly around, but there could be other fears that stem from that. And
can I ask you a question?
Think that, sure.
How do you know when fear is present? Like, what is fear? Like, how do you know you're afraid or in a fear state? What's happening for you?
Yeah, so normally that will be my body. I can feel it in my body, and I suppose the best way to feel it is like some kind of anxiousness.
Which is what?
Something kind of unsettled. It's normally kind of in the heart or in the hands.
Like you're shortness, you can't really take a full breath, or there's fluttering or something.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to think about, because I started talking about money, but now I want to get into other kind of fears, being judged. And
but you just said, I just found it curious that you said fear of money. Not to make this anyway, it doesn't matter. You just said a fear of money, and part of you said because I can't pay for presents for people. So it feels like your fear of money is not about like you not being at the top of Forbes. I don't know if Forbes is still a thing list, but it's more about you not being able to provide for the people in your life that you love. So if we really
look at some therapy, you've twisted this.
I'm not doing therapy.
You did it again, Mel.
This is just what happens. Like it's really important for you to even aware that, because that's a beautiful thing for you to become aware of. You're not like afraid of money because you can't afford a 5-star hotel. You have a fear of financial, your finances, let's say, because you want to show people in your life that you care about them. And the way I know this specifically from you is that gifts are a beautiful token of expression of love for you, because that's a love language for you, is actual gifts. So for you not being able to give your bonus family a gift is not so much about, is kind of could feel like a failure to you. It's like, this is, I love them, I want to be able to offer them that. So I think it's important, see, to even think a bit more of like, you're not afraid of financial insecurity. What you are afraid of is not being able to show the people in your life that you love them in the way that you want to, which is through gifts in this moment in time. Is that fair for me to say?
Oh yeah, yeah. You always do that though. I'm trying
So
to, but no, geez, do you know what? Yeah, if anyone's listening to this, and it is coming into the holiday time, sometimes it is a thing of like, getting gifts for people is important, especially if, there has been a lot of hard times for people. So we think that let's make Christmas a little bit more special,
but this
by
is what's
providing
so,
Santa's.
go on, sorry.
No, by making sure that Santa helps deliver some presents, right?
But this is why it's so important to be able to really like sit with the thing that is present. So if fear is present, and it just went from asking you like where it shows up and what does it mean that you can't do this thing of not getting presents. It's not about the presents. It's about you wanting to express your love and you feeling like, and I know this maybe because I know you, but you feeling like you have failed for some reason, or you can't be there for these people that you have chosen to take care of. So when like that changes the whole narrative, right? That changes like the whole idea of like, wow, you love these people so much, that you're putting this pressure on yourself to give them this thing that's important for you. But I wonder how they would feel about you, saying this to them, or coming up with an in between. Like maybe it's not a gift, a monetary gift, but maybe it's a day walking in the trees doing a scavenger hunt. Maybe it's time. It's also like what we put these values on too, right? Of the value of this thing that you have to wrap. Adorable. Like kids should be unwrapping. Maybe I said should, but I did say should. But it's nice. And I'm just learning that from my 3-year-old. It's not a thing about you love me more because I'm unwrapping. It's the joy of experiencing this thing that's new. That's a beautiful gift. Like offering, maybe not gift is the right word. So it's like we have these different ways of accessing the same offering. But we might not know the root of it if we don't really let ourselves sit with the fears present. And then we like uncover. I don't know if I'm making sense. Sorry. Go on. Let me stop there.
No, what you're doing is making really, it's a lot of sense. And I think what, people who come across this video are going to be in the same situation as me. And I think that if even that alone, knowing that you're not alone in being able to kind of fear to provide for something for the holidays, is comfort in itself. But I like your suggestions of the thing of, and children are extremely bright, resilient, thoughtful. They're far more closer to the core of love than an adult who's, maybe been, I don't know, distanced from it by kind of self-will over years. But I think it is about love, and I think that children do know other ways of receiving love than what we think, which is like, by making sure that there's a few dozen presents underneath a tree.
It's hard though. It's really hard because it is a I don't know if you could hear Mago bark. Sorry.
Just a little bit. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi, Mago.
Yeah, she's in the other room, kind of being on guard or something. I think it's hard because you want to offer this kind of experience, and I think that's maybe what it comes down to, is this: we want to offer and share, more importantly, this experience with people who are important. And this time of year, the experience has been wrapped, no pun intended, around like gift giving and that kind of stuff. And so maybe it's not about, like, maybe there's an individual kind of like, if you're struggling financially and you lost your job because of the pandemic and you can't afford the thing you want, that sucks, and that's hard, and that's not okay. Like, it doesn't feel okay. And then maybe there's a conversation of like, how do we, or where are we putting value? and like not just the person who might not be able to afford the gift. That's not what I mean. I mean in terms of a society, like how are we seeing the reciprocity, the exchanges of love, of sharing time? Like what does that actually look like? Because if you unwrap a present and you slap on a bracelet that's expensive and then you don't ask somebody how their day was, like are we, what are we really valuing here? How do we really want to like live again, especially after such the last couple of years of having the whole world kind of topple over in terms of our movement through it, our health through it, our relationships through it. Maybe this is an opportunity. Oh, I don't hope I sound like an asshole. Like I don't mean that. It's like I don't mean to simplify the hurt of like not being able to maybe afford a gift. Like I'm not saying that at all. That's not that's not fun, or it's not a good place to be in. But it's more like, can we teach these skills, especially to our kids, of the value of being in each other's space? That's not just about unwrapping a present. That's what I'm trying to say, but very inarticulately. Inarticulate. You know what I'm trying to say.
I do. And I think that that is maybe one of the fears, is that thing of the thing we fear is present in us, and it can manifest itself in and I can treat that fear by isolating, by retreating, by putting things off, saying no, I'm not going to do it. Oh, and I want to spend Christmas by myself, just to avoid something that isn't really true. Because I know through experiences that when I do show up and I go, okay, I feel a lot of fear, sweaty palms, shortness of breath around this event that I need to go to, then I do it and I sit with it and I go through with it. And I just try to show up the best version of myself that I can, and the best self that I can, however I am present that day. And it always ends up being okay, if not more, like even, and I'm like, why was I worrying about that? And someone who's been around, and had 50 Christmases, like I know that when people come together and there is love present, the presents, the wrapped presents are a part of it. But as I sit back and I look back at it, is more around the togetherness, the family, the laughing, the things that I know are going to happen, but they're the things that it's almost like it doesn't comfort me. So it's kind of this thing of being able to show up and know that the discomfort or the fears that I feel are not real. And if I go through them, it always ends up being okay.
Well, I mean, maybe they're real, but they're not true, right? Like, I think that's an important piece. They're real, but they're not true. And I think even having that, like also understanding, like so much of when I work with folks and with myself, especially with myself, is to be like, every thought I have is not the truth. It's a thought. How could it not be a thought? I'm walking in the world, absorbing information from everywhere, from memories, from reading, from billboard, like, doesn't matter. And we're having like 80,000 thoughts on average a day, right? I think something like that, 70 to 90,000 thoughts on average a day. If we're thinking around like, oh, all these thoughts are the truth of everything, and more importantly, the truth of who I am, that's crazy making, right? It's not, it puts us into these holes, these performative roles, these kind of structures, these kind of ways of being that are not aligned, because we're thinking that all the thoughts are true. So again, like, what if we were just like, yeah, my feeling of fear is real. Is it true? Nope. And I think that opens a whole also pathway for exploration, because you just said when you're afraid, that your heart, sorry, I'm not saying words. Your heart beats a bit more. You feel this constriction in your chest, like you hold it here in your, okay, so that's real. What's happening to you, because your nervous system doesn't know different. Your body doesn't know any difference. It's real. Is it based on something that's true? On one level, yes, but on a more important level, no, because it's a fear of like you not being able to, if we're going to use the example we're using, to be fully present for your loved ones, right? So it's real. Is it true? Nah. So maybe that's another tool, if we're going back to that, is ask yourself, is it true, without needing to answer it. Just interrupt that pattern for 1 second. Like, oh, that's a curious thought. I wonder if it's true, and carry on. Right. And I'm making it seem like it's easy. It's not, but I do it like a lot. And then there's a freedom in not needing to know an answer, and just to question it, just to interrupt it really helps your brain like adjust a bit quickly of like, oh, like you're not putting your whole worth and identity into this one thought that you had out of 90,000 thoughts, where all 90,000 thoughts are true. Now it's a lot of pressure, and it's also not true. All our thoughts are just products, right? Go on. Sorry.
How did it feel getting the Christmas tree?
Yeah, well, it's a Christmas tree that's so that's curious. It's I basically bought this tree so it stays with me, it comes potted. So I will have this tree as long as I can, because I think I did not want kind of a dead tree, for want of it. That's the truth, in my place. So I bought this tree in its own thing. So we're gonna have a tree now. I've never actually bought anything to celebrate any of the holidays. And this is a testament to how these children in my life has changed my life, because to see the joy of them, like a tree, we're going to get a tree, we get to decorate it, and look at this ornament that's Santa's face. And we know Santa's in our kids watching Santa's face, and like all these, an ornament of Mago, an ornament of my first dog, like, oh, like these things, like a star. Okay. And for me, I attached to so much like pain and annoyance to holiday time, and to watch my kids, my niece and nephew, be able to just not have the same attachment or the same, yeah, like relationship with it, and like a hurtful one, is joyous. So I like I bought this as a, like, I think a testament to the excitement of just, can we just appreciate the day and look, like maneuver the day as a kid, where everything is new and like beautiful, and it's simple. It's like, oh my God, that's the best thing ever, like that's the best thing ever. And then there's like a rock, this is the best thing ever. And then there's these things that are the best thing ever. So I didn't even realize I was doing it, but part of it is a testament to like the kind of joy of like, I don't have to have any religious affiliation with it, which I don't have to have any like kind of like, you represent all the bad things that happened to me in my child. It's none of that. It's like, wow, you're a beautiful life in my place now, and I will decorate it, and I will keep it decorated for when my nephew comes in February to visit. And it's a thing that I can experience. And yeah, I think it's actually a representation of like how this love with this little 3-year-old has really let me let go of so much like shitting about celebrating the holidays, and I have to do it differently than the rest of the world because I know better. It's nonsense. So this is like this is my first thing for me. It's a big deal actually in terms of my freedom, I think, and my letting go of all my crap.
You're speaking,
did you expect that answer?
I kind of expected something like that.
Oh, did you? Okay, because I said it for the first time out loud right now. I'm like, that's cool. I'm glad that happened. Go on. Sorry.
It is cool, and I want it because it's coming to the end of the time, and I want to, end on this kind of positive note of like, hey, you know what? Life is life. Life is going on. The holidays have always put pressure on us in some ways and some fears. We always get through it, and at the end of the day, and for some people, like physical contact won't be possible yet again, but connection and good stories and being able to listen to people and checking up on people. And even if it's just like a card, a handwritten card, a knock on the door, if you can, an email, a text message, all of these things are tools that the modern day of, technology have given us. Utilize them. And I think that's a big thing too, that I'm going to consciously do is I'm going to reach out to people, who I think are good, because normally it's the people who you're like, oh, they've got it all sorted out. Look, they've got the turkey, they've got all the presents, they're all good. It's normally the people who look like everything's really rosy, that they need a little bit of love. And that's the one thing that's free and is beautiful, and it comes in the form of just a little bit of an action towards somebody in the form of a phone call or a text or a card.
I think that's
Christmas,
the thing, is
well,
is the action, right? Sorry, go on.
yeah. I was just gonna say Christmas, but I know people say the holidays. But the holidays, this time of year, we do need each other. It is physically a lot darker out there. And I do know after the 21st, everything starts getting brighter. So it's a beautiful time of year, and it is, for me, it does represent family. And for those who don't have family present in their lives and stuff, just try to stay connected. And for those who know people who don't have people, please reach out to them.
I just think it's also important to add, you get to make this however you want to make it, right? You get to write the script in whatever ways you want to write. And if it's something different than what you grew up to or what you've known about yourself, then let it be different. Like, let it be whatever you need it to be this time around. Because that is important and beautiful, and you get to write it. Like, you get to write the story of how you want to celebrate whatever it is you want to celebrate. Maybe it's just being alive, man. Maybe it's just taking a breath. And I want to say, like, I recognize too, sorry, this is like the other kind of worker in me, that humans can be rough, but there is power in that, in community, in finding a safe source. And if it can't be a human, then maybe it's a tree, maybe it's a dog you see walking on the street that you can pet. Like, maybe it's a rock, maybe it's a mountain, maybe it's a lake. Like, go outward, let yourself really get curious, connect in different ways, because I think nature and earth is also there as a representation of whatever it is you might need. So use that too.
Thank you. That's time.
Okay.
I am flying back tomorrow, and I think that
Yahoo!
I have to self-isolate now,
Do
even
you?
though I've been vaccinated. Yeah.
Why, were you exposed or something?
No, they changed the rules now.
Oh, did
So
they? Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I
Okay,
have
well,
to self-isolate, I think, until I get results back. So
okay.
now, for all the money that people have been spending on those PCR tests when you return, now you have to get the results to be able to go out. So hopefully that money is actually being spent on them actually doing the tests, because I never got the results of the ones that I've taken before. Anyway.
Yeah, I got mine 3 days after my quarantine was over.
Yeah. So, but we'll arrange something now when I get back, and we'll figure out how we can have a coffee or something. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, but also on Thursday, the Tough Through Tender workshop at 11 a.m. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Melissa.
Yeah.
Lots of love. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.